Good morning. Today is Thursday, July 2nd, 2026. This is the Urban Hope Refuge Morning Devotions. We are continuing our reading today from the 2026 Daily Bible Reading Guide published by the American Bible Society. Yes, July 2nd, and it is 75 degrees at 7 a.m. here in Windsor, Connecticut. We're reading under the theme for the month of July, God's surprising word proclaiming God's justice. Today, we're reading Psalm 10 in the New International Version. Now, Psalm 10 is closely connected to Psalm 9 that I read on yesterday. In many ancient Hebrew scripts, the two Psalms are considered a single composition, while Psalm 9 celebrates God's righteous reign and his past victories over the wicked. Psalm 10 shifts dramatically to the painful reality that evil still appears to prosper. It reflects the struggle of believers who wonder why God seems silent when just injustice prevails. So the psalmist begins Psalm 10 expressing his frustration that the wicked flourish on the earth despite their rebellion against God and crimes that they commit against their fellow men. This is a natural frustration experienced by many people, some of us even today. But at the end of the psalm, the writer concludes that God is not indifferent to evil and that he will certainly judge evil men, even if he doesn't do it as swiftly as we might want him to or expect him to. Verse 1. Why, Lord, do you stand far off? Why do you hide yourself in times of trouble? In his ignorance, the wicked man hunts down the weak who are caught in the schemes he devises. He boasts about the cravings of his heart. He blesses the greedy and reviles the Lord. In his pride, the wicked man does not seek him. In all his thoughts, there is no room for God. His ways are always prosperous. Your laws are rejected by him. He sneers at all his enemies. He says to himself, nothing will ever shake me. He swears, no one will ever do me harm. His mouth is full of lies and threats. Trouble and evil are under his tongue. He lies in wait near the villages. From ambush, he murders the innocent. His eyes watch in secret for his victims. Like a lion in cover, he lies in wait. He lies in wait to catch the helpless. He catches the helpless and drags them off in his net. His victims are crushed. They collapse. They fall under his strength. He says to himself, God will never notice. He covers his face and never sees. Arise, Lord. Lift up your hand, O God. Do not forget the helpless. Why does the wicked man revile God? Why does he say to himself, he won't call me into account? But you, God, see the trouble of the afflicted. You consider their grief and take it in hand. The victims commit themselves to you. You are the helper of the fatherless. Break the arm of the wicked man. Call the evildoer to account for his wickedness that would not otherwise be found out. The Lord is king forever and ever. The nations will perish from his land. You, Lord, hear the desire of the afflicted. You encourage them and you listen to their cry, defending the fatherless and the oppressed, so that mere earthly mortals will never again strike terror. This concludes our reading for today of Psalm 10. It's in its entirety. Psalm 10, unlike many other psalms that we read, they begin with praise. But this psalm begins without praise. Instead, it opens with an honest question that many of us may have felt at one time or another. The question, why stand thou afar off, O God? Why hideth thyself in times of trouble? That's Psalm 1 in the King James Version. The psalmist is not expressing unbelief, but faith, his faith that is wrestling with an unanswered question or questions. But by the end of the psalm, lament has become confidence as David affirms that God sees, God hears, and he will ultimately judge the wicked. Psalm 10 teaches that although God may appear silent, he is never absent. The wicked may prosper for a season, but they do not escape God's notice nor God's justice. So this psalm contrasts two perspectives. One, the wicked believe that they are not accountable to anyone. They exploit the vulnerable, they oppress the poor, and assume that God doesn't see and that he doesn't care. The second perspective, the righteous that trust God is attentive to suffering and will defend those who have no earthly defender. So the central message is that God's justice may be delayed, but it is never denied. So in verses 1 through 2, we hear the cry of the oppressed. David begins by asking why God seems distant while the wicked pursue the poor. It's an honest question, and it lets us know that honest questions are welcomed in prayer. And verses 3 through 11 talk about the character of the wicked. Yesterday, in Psalm 9, I highlighted the character of God in dealing with the wicked. But in Psalm 10, in verses 3 through 11, David describes the mindset of those who reject God. The wicked boast about their sinful desires. They reject God's authority. It's me. I can. They exploit the weak, take advantage in every way that they can. They speak proudly and deceitfully about what they do. They believe God neither sees them nor judges them. I'm talking about the character of the wicked. And they lie in wait like predators to destroy innocent people. So that section, verses 3 through 11, demonstrates how injustice grows when people believe that there will be no accountability. And then in verses 12 through 15, there is a prayer for divine intervention. The psalmist cries, "Arise, O Lord." He asks God to remember the humble, to break the power of the wicked, to hold evildoers accountable, rather than seeking personal revenge. The psalmist appeals to God's righteous judgment. And if you will recall, or if you were with us yesterday, we told you the difference between human judgment and God's judgment. So verses 16 through 18 deals with confidence in God's rule. The psalmist concludes with faith. He declares that the Lord is king forever, that God hears the desires of the humble, that God strengthens their hearts, that God defends the fatherless and oppressed, and human oppression will not have the final word. What a blessing. So the ending transforms lament into worship. Psalm 10 reveals several truths about God's justice. God's justice sees what people overlook. God's justice sees what people overlook. The wicked believe their hidden actions go unnoticed, yet God sees, listen to this, God sees hidden motives. You may think the person is one way, doing what they're doing for one reason, but God sees the hidden motive. Listen, God sees secret sins, and God sees silent tears, and He sees forgotten victims. Always remember, nothing escapes God's attention. Throughout Psalm 10, God is portrayed as the offender, as the defender of the poor, of the humble, of the fatherless, of the oppressed, and He is the defender of those without earthly power. God consistently stands with those that society often overlooks. Don't forget that. And as I'm coming to closure, God's justice exposes evil. God's justice exposes evil. The wicked carefully hide their intentions, but God uncovers every deception. Eventually, and don't forget it, eventually, truth is revealed. Justice may not come immediately, but it will come. And listen, God's timing is perfect, and his judgment is always righteous. God's justice restores hope. So the psalmist ends not with despair, but with assurance. The faithful can continue trusting because God reigns forever. I pray that these words bless you today, and I challenge you to pray your way through the day. Walk with the King and be a blessing.